What's going on, Freight Broker Network? In this video, I'm going to answer an amazing question that I got today, and you might be watching this 2 weeks from when I got the question, but it's still very valuable, so I'm going to tell you anyway. But before we get into what that question is, make sure you follow this channel, like this video so that more people can see it, more freight brokers can get this message, and we will get right into what this question is. And now it's about shippers, and I always get a great response when I make a video about shippers. You guys love hearing about objection handling and finding shippers and all that great stuff. So your heads are in the right place. But I got this great question today about what you do when you just can't seem to get somebody on the phone. Right? This particular person was getting constant voicemails, and they would, get through the gatekeeper at a shipper or a customer and get transferred to the transportation manager, and then they get the voicemail. So like, how do I handle this? I need to get through to the person. And this is how I would go about getting to the transportation manager. Now, you have to think about this with a lot of empathy, right? Because you have to put yourself constantly in a shipper's shoes to understand how their thought processes work throughout the day, okay? Like always, we're gonna look at this from a very high level view. So as a shipper, you are getting bombarded with thousands of calls per day from freight brokers, from carriers, from freight forwarders. All of these people are constantly calling you, blowing up your phone. So it is only natural for you to let a lot of these calls go into your voicemail. It's very likely, if you are a shipper yourself, that you already have your stuff covered. You don't need another broker. You already have 20 of them in a list. But again, from your perspective, you have a lot of value to add. You are different from other brokers. The experience with you is going to be a lot different than the experience that they're having with their current brokers, right? So how do we get that opportunity to take ourselves and present our business and our model and our methods to these shippers if we just can't get them on the phone? And this is exactly how I would tell you to do it. When you can't get somebody on the phone, you have to go through somebody else at the company. But it's not as easy as just calling somebody in sales and getting routed back to the transport manager, or calling a receptionist and sending her flowers, or sending him some lunch, or whatever you want to do, and schmoozing your way into the transportation manager. That does not work, because they're getting this from 100 different angles. Instead, what you have to do is you have to move higher up the chain. But what I mean by that is you have to get a hold of somebody at the company who cannot afford to not answer their phone. For example, my family has a manufacturing business. We make some cool stuff for the garment industry. And if you call anybody in that business, they get solicited 100 times a day. It gets to a point where whenever they get a solicitation call, no matter what it is selling, they go right to voicemail. They're getting told to send an email. You're selling glass beads for our formulas, you're selling pigments, you're selling chemicals, whatever it is, you're going right to the voicemail. Now, there's only one person at that company that will always answer their phone, because they never know who it is, and that is the owner, who happens to be my dad, because we do family businesses. So if somebody calls my dad, they are almost always going to get an answer. What that means is what you have to do is you have to go as far up on the chain as you can until you finally get somebody to connect you with the transportation manager. And now let me explain why that is so huge. Because if a receptionist or a part-time worker or an intern goes to their boss, the transportation manager, and says, hey, I really want you to talk to Ed at Crazy Eddie's freight brokerage, they're not gonna entertain it. They're just gonna say, send him a voicemail. Tell him to send me an email. But if their boss or their higher up says, hey, transportation manager, Ed just called me, I gave him your phone number, please give him a call. Guess who's getting the next phone call that day about trucking? You are, because you got an introduction from somebody higher up. And now, when you call somebody higher up in the company, you have to prepare yourself for it too, because you just can't call and say, hey, I want to start moving all of your loads. It doesn't work like that. You have to build a relationship with them the same way that you need to build a relationship with the transportation manager. The only reason you need somebody higher up on the chain or in seniority at the company is to make that soft intro. So what I would do is I would call the VP or the COO or the head purchasing director, and I'd try to get in with them a little bit. I'll make friends with them. Like, hey, I've been transferred around your company all day. I don't even know who I'm talking to at this point. What's going on? How are you? Oh, I'm good. We're busy, but what's going on? How can I help you? And then I'd say, hey, I'm really interested in helping you guys move some freight. I think there's some opportunities where I could try to save you some money on your lanes. Do you by any chance have the direct contact for the transportation manager so I don't have to bother you anymore? It's as easy as that. You could steal that little skit there. It'll work 80-90% of the time. And what that contact will end up doing is sending you right down to the transportation manager. But now the caller ID on their phone is going to say it's the VP calling them, not Crazy Eddie's freight brokerage. Right? You see how that can be a little bit more enticing for them to pick up the phone. And then once you finally get that transportation manager on the phone, you can start giving them your pitch. If you need help with a pitch, I teach that in my private freight broker course that is linked right down below. I have all the scripts, the phone methods, the routing, the follow-up, all that great stuff is in there. You can check that out right down below. Once you get yourself in front of that person, that is the first step to actually moving their freight, building a relationship with them. And that is how you get through to somebody who just will not pick up their phone. Now, I hope this video helped you. Again, sales in shipping, just like it is in anything, is a very complex art. It's something that you get better at with repetitions. And the more of these calls that you do, the better you are going to be at them. So keep making those calls, develop your sales acumen, and remember, until you get a no, until you get somebody to explicitly tell you, please stop bothering us, please don't call me ever again, you need to keep on trying to get through to that person. Right? There are plenty of times where we've gotten a no or a maybe later or maybe next time. We kept trying and trying and trying, and some of those clients have turned out to be some of our better clients today. Okay, so do not give up on your customers. You have a lot to offer companies. Right? No matter how big or how small your brokerage is right now, there are things that you do differently that will add value to their supply chain. So I hope this video helps you in your sales calls for the rest of the week, the month, the year, however long you're at this freight broker game. And before I sign off, as always, I want to invite you to join my Freight Broker Network. It's a free group. All the info about it is right down, linked on the page below. Just go there, fill out your information. I'll send you a private invite, and that is where I hang out all day, answering questions, making videos, and just hanging out with a bunch of people who love freight brokering. So make sure you join that, and until the next video, I'll see you soon.